Welcome to the Rinky Dink Bullshit Podcast with your host, Superfly, Johnny Lee, the podcast god. And tonight we got a great show for you because last night we had Tegan Rose, but tonight we had Pro Wrestling Alliance's Charles near Pierson in the house. And he is to my right. And to my left, we got the bearded one. We got the crazy one. We got Big Beard Dudley.
What's up, podcast world?
Now, Charles.
Yes.
Why don't you lay a little bit of history onto the good folks at home?
Well, honestly, the PWA started in 2019, and we were under another name at the time. It was called Hot Tag Wrestling. We were going to do our first ever show in October of that year, an outdoor show. It was a bar show.
Nice.
It had not rained in Ohio in probably about 6 months at that time. I think we all know where this is going. So
Yeah.
that weekend was a torrential downpour.
Of course it would.
Yeah, as we found out on Wednesday. We had no choice but to cancel the show. I mean, a storm was rolling in. So show got canceled. Everybody was down in the dumps. And then that day, and this bar was fairly secluded. It's like on the outside of town in Harrison, Ohio.
Yeah.
So there's only really one road that'll get you there. And then that morning, a milk truck wrecked on that road and shut it completely down. So in hindsight, it was everything happens for a reason, I guess.
That's true.
Probably what I'm going with here. So then after that, Hot Tag kind of got put on the back burner. And we got the wine festival from that the next year. So it'd been August of 2020. Well, everybody knows what happened in 2020. So, reset again. We didn't get, after opening the company in 2019, we didn't get to run our first show until April of 2021.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So things got off to, I guess you could call it a rocky start.
Yeah.
But in April of 2021, I was able to get our first show booked. It was in a town called Greenfield, Ohio. By that time, we had changed the name to Professional Wrestling Alliance.
Good name.
Thank you. And the reason, because my vision has always been there's a ton of independent companies out there. I would love to see an alliance amongst them, the way they could swap talent. Like, hey, you know, my ring rope just broke. Can I get one off of you? Yeah, here you go. I've always kind of wanted to work with the other companies in the area, and a lot of them have been really receptive. I mean, we've had a good turnout on that, and we've always kind of watched each other's backs. Now, everybody likes to get paid, self included. But, yeah, I've had really good return with a lot of the companies in the area. We work really closely with Supreme Wrestling right now.
Good company.
Great company, absolutely. We've worked in the past with APW out of Cincinnati. We've gotten some talent from the NWF. We worked with a company called Revolution Pro, which I'll get to here in a little bit. Yeah, so we've done a lot of good things with a lot of good companies, and I'd love to continue to work with other ones down the road. We've gotten some talent from Grindhouse.
Heck
Nice.
yeah.
Actually, that's where our head referee, Dustin James, that's where we found him at. He was on your podcast not too long ago.
Good man.
Great man. Yes, sir. Bailed me out of quite a few situations. He is
Heck
Iron Man some shows.
Nice.
That's
And
right.
I know that's not fun. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, because you'd be doing it all night by yourself. No one else being referee, just you.
That's right. You take one bump,
Yeah, you still got to get back out there and do it again.
still got to do it again. So we did the show in April, and it was a great show. We drew a good crowd.
Nice.
Now you got to remember, this was the pandemic restrictions were just lifting, so people were very hungry for entertainment.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that did play to our advantage, but at the same time, the restrictions weren't 100% off yet.
Yeah.
So we still had to adhere to the so many people per feet guidelines, the sanitizer guidelines, and things like that. So it was a little hard. I mean, you could only fit so many people in there.
Yeah.
I think we were allowed to have, if I'm not mistaken, 125.
Man.
That's rough.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. But we made it work. The show was really good. And an interesting thing about that show is every match on the card had never happened before.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
We did our first match was Savion and Scotty Amos.
Hell yeah.
They had never met before. We did Viva Los Amish versus War Inc.
Nice.
Big Mama versus Haley Shadows.
Oh, love Big Mama.
Everybody loves some Big Mama. Yeah, Big Mama's great. Current NWA Women's Champion.
Yep.
She's been in the PWA.
Also current AMW Women's Champion.
Yes, that is very true. Dual champion right there.
That's right. And Haley Show's been around the block a long time.
Yes, she has. And then we did our Battle Royal to crown the first ever PWA Great American Champion. Scotty Amos won that.
Nice.
And he was champion, I believe the total was 426 days.
Nice.
Champion for a long time.
A little over a year. That's a hell of a run.
That's what I'm talking about.
He had a great run. And then we did the Wine Festival show, and that was, again, went off really well. Got a good crowd. Of course, it was free admission, so that didn't hurt anything. But yeah,
Exactly.
we had Congo Kong in for that show. We had Shane,
Nice guy. Big old boy.
Shane Taylor was in for that show.
Nice one as well.
Then we had, some of our regular talent. We had Ben Hameen up from the New York area.
Nice.
He trained actually right here in Kentucky.
Heck yeah.
And had a great show. Everything went well. I got 2 shows under my belt at this time. I'm thinking, man, this is actually going a lot easier than I ever dreamed it would. So then we set up a show in October at the Elks Lodge in Cincinnati. It was called Food Trucks and Wrestling.
Nice. That's a good name.
Well, it was a great concept. However,
Oh, no.
The bell had to ring, huh?
the bell had to ring. Yeah, at one point the dream had to end. Somebody had to wake up, and didn't get a good crowd. I had a lot of personal issues at that point, to where I probably could have promoted it better. My partner promoted it, I guess, the best he could. I was out of town for a lot, dealing with personal issues, and basically he booked one food truck for a show called Food Trucks and Wrestling, and then that guy left in the middle of the second match.
Oh, no.
No.
So it was a little rough, but learning curve.
That's
curve.
right.
Yes.
You gotta learn the hard lessons.
You got to take the hits with the misses.
There's a man I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with named Paul Brown.
Yes.
Said you can learn a paragraph from a victory, but you can learn a whole novel from a defeat.
That's right.
That's right.
So that was a defeat, but we learned and we moved on. And after that show, we ran a couple more here and there. We had some mixed reactions. We ran at the Bluebell Bar. We ran a show at Dip Stiggy's. We, of course, kept the Wine Festival. We ran the Wine Festival 4 years running.
Nice.
And then we merged with a company called Revolution Pro Wrestling at the time.
Nice.
The owner of that company was a man by the name of Caleb Copper.
Hell yeah.
He was running shows. We were running shows, and we were helping each other out, talent exchanges and whatnot. And the idea was brought that, this is costing a lot of money to run 2. Why don't we just merge it and make 1? We use a lot of your talent. You use a lot of our talent. Why not at that point? So we merged the companies. We all got together. We created a board of directors. And, and it worked. I mean, it worked well. But then you've also got to realize there's a lot of other people to work with. Prior to this, it had pretty much just been me and the one other guy.
Yeah.
And now you've got 5 people. Yeah, now you got 5 people. So now, many hands make lighter work. So that was kind of nice. But at the same time, there's a lot more mouths to feed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Things went on from there. Eventually, my initial partner departed. He went on to bigger and better things. He's not with the company anymore. To my knowledge, he actually walked away from wrestling completely.
Yeah.
Other than I think he still has a radio show
Nice.
that he does. A few members of the board ended up resigning. Caleb is getting married. Actually, he just got married. He walked away to focus on his family life and his shoot job, and he's looking to retire in the next year, so he's trying to get as much time in as he can. So he kind of had to step back from the wrestling.
Yeah. Understandable.
I've had a few partners here and there after that. But I've always been the only one here from day one.
Yeah.
Currently, I work with a man named Ryan Muniak, and he owns the Carrollton Training and Recreation Center, which is where the PWA runs. That's our home base.
Nice.
And we've been there for about 4 shows now. We're building a really good crowd. Carrollton's a great town. I urge everybody who's listening to come check us out. Give us a chance.
Yeah, y'all definitely should.
So that's the history in a nutshell. If anybody wants me to elaborate on anything, I'm always happy to do that. I'm an open book.
That's a good history to have. We had Tegan Rose in here last night. She's your Women's Liberty Champion.
Our current Lady Liberty Champion. She is the 4th woman to hold that belt. Ari Alexander was the initial champion.
Nice.
That's a nice one to have as the initial champion.
She took Savannah Sweet a little too lightly and ended up losing.
Oh,
the belt.
yes, you're right. Savannah Sweet's another name that we've noticed because we first saw her in Bar Brawl Generation Next Pro Wrestling back in 2022. Back then, I gave her a hard time, but man, she impressed me when she was wrestling. Wrestling, I think it was Alexis Littlefoot that time.
Okay.
No, it was Larry D's wife that she was fighting that time, Paige.
Okay.
And she impressed me that night.
Savannah's a talent. She really is. She came out. We got her when she was very green. She just
Yep.
started at the NWF. Roger, pretty much sent her to us like, you got to give this person a shot. She worked on a show in February of 2022 for her. It was great. By July of 2022, she beat Ari and won the title.
Hell
Nice.
yeah. That's because she improved over time.
In a very short amount of time.
Putting in that work.
That's right.
She did. She held the belt from July of 2022 until May of 2023. She lost it to Riley Matthews.
Wow.
Nice, another good name.
And Riley, unfortunately, is going through some issues. She had to vacate the title. So that's why we had the match for the vacant championship at the last show, Heartbreak. Tegan Rose beat Shauna Reed, won the championship.
Hell yeah, and Shauna Reed's another name that's good.
I mean, so many names that people recognize that just 2 to 3 years ago was in PWA, and they've risen so high, and I'm
That's
so
right.
proud of all of them, and I'm just happy that I've gotten to work with those people and hopefully helped them just a little bit along the way.
I feel like we could see a rematch down the line. Riley Matthews come back for her title.
I'd love to see Riley come back in, and the door is always open for Riley. She was a great worker and a great person to work with.
Exactly, because she's one of those talents that start coming up. She's coming to her own. Because first time I saw her as well, again, Bar Brawl back in 2022, she worked not the same night as Savannah Sweet, but the next time that they had it. And she impressed me as well. Because she came in there, did her thing, and she made you think, this Riley girl has it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something special with PWA. Because now we're starting to understand that PWA's here in Kentucky. We didn't know anything about this till now.
Okay.
And this is awesome to hear. And the fact that you've been running since 2019 and you had your setbacks, it's helped you along the way because now you know what to do, what not to do, and how to get it done. And a lot of us go through issues where we ain't got reliable partners or anything.
I don't want to, badmouth anybody.
I wouldn't either.
I can't say he wasn't reliable. He made mistakes just like everybody did.
Yeah, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
But we also learn from them.
Or exactly
Which
it.
is something that PWA has. You've learned and you've gotten better. And the talent that you've been bringing in. Everybody's getting to know some. Tell us a little bit about your champions.
Eric Draven is our current
Ooh, nice.
champion.
We know him.
I haven't seen him in a while, man. He's good.
He's great.
Yes.
He's a great champion. He won the belt in August of last year at the Wine Festival.
Nice.
He won it in a fatal 4-way with Vincent Slades, Eric Fallon, and Berto.
Good people. Berto especially.
Berto is one of my favorites
Oh,
to
yeah.
work with. I love working with Berto.
That's right. Because Berto is one of those guys that he's an inspiration.
His character work, his crowd work, he is top notch in every way. You will never hear me say a bad word about him.
That's right. Because Berto is the man.
Yes, he is. Slades went into that match as champion.
Good guy, too.
He did not get pinned to lose. So
See that? there's a viable rematch that could happen. Him versus Eric.
I've always expected to hear something from him on that, so that shoe will drop one day, I'm sure.
Pretty sure that he's got that contract says he can get that rematch anytime he wants. All he's got to do is bide his time.
And I know that's exactly what he's doing. So he'll be there eventually. I know he hasn't forgotten. I guarantee.
Exactly, especially because he knows that he wasn't pinned.
Yep.
And any champion that's never been pinned and they've lost their title, that's always going to be on the back of their mind. Hey, you didn't pin me. You're champion, but you're not the champion.
It stings, definitely, especially considering who he beat to win the title.
Ooh. Who'd he beat?
Do you want to take a guess? Or I can just tell you.
He beat Berto, didn't he?
He did not beat Berto.
Oh.
It wasn't Berto?
It was not Berto.
Ooh.
I forgot who else you said was in that match.
There was nobody in that match, actually. That guy wrestled later that night. I'll just tell you. It was the current NWA television champion, Carson Drake.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, I was about to say his name, but it slipped my mind because Carson Drake is one of those guys that would definitely be championship material. And the fact that he held that title first before Slades, damn. That's a lineage.
Yeah, Carson Drake was our champion. And he is the one that actually ended Scotty's reign.
Oh, man.
So our lineage is Scotty Amos, Carson Drake, Vincent Slades, Eric Draven on the Great American.
That's a good lineage.
Right.
A lot of solid guys there. And currently at our last show, Heartbreak, one of our top guys, Benjamin Kamara, he beat Crazy Ed to be the #1 contender.
Nice.
So,
we know Crazy Ed, definitely.
If you don't know Crazy Ed, you definitely should take time to.
Yeah, they definitely should.
That's a talented man right there.
That's right.
I'll work with him any chance I get. I love working with Ed. And Benjamin, for that matter.
Yeah, Benjamin's definitely a good talent as well. And NWF has a lot of great talent that should definitely, if they've not worked for PWA yet, they should definitely come to PWA and cut their bones through it. Because it sounds to me like PWA is the company that's bringing them together and letting these stars thrive.
Well, one vision I always had was I wanted to be a school to help people, help the under talent who had just started in the business kind of come up and kind of help learn their craft. And just the names I've mentioned, Savannah Sweet, she came to us early in her career. Carson Drake came to us early in his career. Riley Matthews. Currently, we've got a kid named Max Steele who came to us from the NWF really early. Axel Thorne came to us in the NWF really early. And I want to keep doing that. That's my goal. So the more younger generational talent we can get, then the happier I am. I love helping these young guys learn.
And that's a good goal to have because it's helping wrestling thrive. By helping them, you create more talent. You help them get bigger. You help them grow and find their footing in the business. Because there's a lot of them that need that guidance. And especially PWA. And if I was any company, I'd be reaching out to work with y'all. Let y'all have our talent and show the guys that we have that might be green what they can do and how to get better.
Absolutely. Just any company, message me. I'll work with the younger guys. I love doing it. And girls, get them in here. We'll get them some experience. Eventually they're going to have to spread their wings and work for their home promotion.
That's true.
I like to provide that environment to where we can do things like that.
Exactly.
I love to work with people. So.
And I think that's a good thing, too, because that's what wrestling needs. Companies that are willing to help the talents find their footing. And eventually they're going to spread their wings and go out there and prove why they are a star. Because there already is a bunch of stars, like Marty Clay. Zodiac, who's been on the independents for 20 years, has definitely a star. And he wears that mask. He could be having a mask versus mask match soon at AMW Weekend of Champions. Man, have you had Misery come to your doors yet?
No.
Oh, man. Maybe you should try to get him before he might get his mask removed by Zodiac. Because this man is a big 7-foot tall giant.
Oh, wow.
Monster of a man.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely look into it. Our next show is April 4th.
Oh, nice. We're definitely going to have to keep that in note. Because we will try to come out there.
Please do. April 4th, Carrollton Training and Recreation Center.
Nice.
After that, we've got June 19th. That's a Thursday at the Trimble County Fair.
Nice. That also gives people time to have inside the calendar because it gives them time to prep, be ready for the event too. Because that also gives y'all time to prep and get everything ready, which is smart. And it also helps out wrestling as a whole because you got plenty of great talent that's going to be working that April show.
April 4th show, absolutely. You can expect to see some of our regulars like Benjamin Kamara. Crazy Ed is scheduled to be there. A lot of the regular talent I just talked about, Max Steele, Axel Thorne. But I saved this specifically for the podcast.
Exclusive.
I'm going to drop the first match that is booked for that show right here.
What's that?
It is our first ever PWA Cruiserweight Showcase.
Ooh.
Nick Ultima and TJ Fury.
Oh,
Okay, now that's a
right.
good one to have. Because Nick Ultima, we just recently saw him at EWA, and that man's killing it.
Yes, he is.
I'm excited. We've never had either one of them in before. It's going to be their first match.
Oh,
in
you're going to
PWA.
love it.
Because
TJ Fury is also a good one. So I expect a barn burner to happen in that match.
They're going to tear the house down. I'm excited to see it. I can't
Especially
wait.
because Nick Ultima, this man, since I saw him at Grindhouse Pro Wrestling, this man's been climbing. And it only makes sense for him to come down to PWA and buy in the Cruiserweight tournament. And he's going up against a man like TJ Fury. That's a barn burner in the making.
We're looking to expand and maybe get a cruiserweight division. This will be the first match towards that experiment, I guess. And
Heck yeah.
I think it'll go well. I'm excited to see it.
And there's nothing wrong with experimenting because sometimes you got to experiment to find if it fits, if it works, and if you want to just change it up and switch it up a little bit. You always got to be willing to take that first step because you can't take risks if you're scared.
Exactly. And I'm not scared at all about the match.
Exactly.
These two guys are going to tear it down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is. Because both of these men, they have what it takes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think that the fans of PWA should get ready for that match because these two are going to kill it. They're going to tear it down. They're going to make you want to see it again.
And that's a great match to put on first. That's going to get the crowd right in.
Yes, because remember, the opener always sets the tone for what to expect when you get through it.
It absolutely does. And that's a myth I never understood, that people always thought the opener was an insult.
I know, right?
I always thought the opener was, like you just said, sets the tone.
It does.
It does.
If you put people to sleep with your first match, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Exactly. The opening match is always the one that sets the tone and lights the fire in the ass of the others because now they're like, now we got to go out there and tear the house down because those guys just did something that one-ups us. So now we got to one-up them.
Yeah.
Anybody who complains goes on first. They're not thinking about the crowd and how the crowd looks at it.
Exactly.
They got their head up their ass. They think they're hot shit, and they think they're too good to go on first.
Yeah.
Which I would say, like, maybe the third match is the one you don't want to go on. Maybe, maybe.
Yeah, because
maybe.
Think about it. If the opener and the second match were the show stealers, you're the third match. Now you got to sweat and think to yourself, how I'm going to follow those two.
Just got to keep up on that ante.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just getting up there in age, and that's about the time I need to, take my bathroom break. And
Oh, you made it this long?
yeah.
But that's the beauty of professional wrestling is that the opening contest sets the tone for what you're going to expect the whole show.
And if there's any wrestler out there who doesn't know what we're talking about, as a fan, however long the drive was to the venue, you've been all week, all month looking for the tour for the show. You drive out there, however long it takes, wait in line, get your tickets, get your seat. You're ready for some action.
That's right.
And that first match, you're just ready for it. And if it's just a snooze fest,
Oh,
what the hell? You just took all my wind out of me.
Just took the sails right out of you.
exactly. But if you're on fire, the entire opening contest, the fans are going to be on fire for the rest of the night because now they're expecting balls to walls, high octane, and a fire show. But if you're snoozing, then the fans will be like, I came to see this.
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And also, they'll be thinking to themselves, I wasted my money to drive down here, watch this just to see these two stink up everything. But if you're on fire, the fans are going to be wanting to see what that show's got to go, especially the main event.
If you lose them, it's twice as hard to get them back.
Yes. Yep. Especially.
And that is no joke.
That's why I always say the opening match is the most important, because a lot of people will say that it's bad because it's opening match. But here's the thing. If it was a fire opener, the fans are going to be on fire all night.
Right.
They're not going to be quiet. They're not going to be sitting on their hands, on their phones. They're going to be watching to see if any other match can top what they just saw. And that's good.
Yeah, our opening match for Heartbreak was a really good one. It was a tag team match between Max Steel and Axel Thorne against Hillbilly Billy and Cousin Junior.
Heck yeah.
Great match. Crowd loved it, and it set the tone for the whole night. Unfortunately, the Cousin Junior turned on Hillbilly. So,
oh, man.
So, yeah, Heartbreak was truly heartbreaking in that regard.
Yeah,
that's true. But maybe he should have saw it coming. Because, man.
The seeds are always there if you look hard enough.
Yep. Like how John Cena was planting seeds that we didn't see coming. Like when he was at the Royal Rumble press conference, and he did something that he's never done before. He inserted himself into the next chamber match without earning it. Something that he'd never done before. But we were so engrossed because we thought, yeah, John Cena's a legend. He can do something like this because it's his last year of wrestling. Why not? But then after Jay eliminated him, he gets to the ring and he's got this face of a heel. But then he switches up to back to Nice Guy John. If we had just been paying attention that night, we would have known right then something ain't adding up.
Well, hindsight being 2020, how do you just get to insert yourself in the Elimination Chamber unless you got a friend on the board?
Yeah,
exactly. But that's the beauty of a villain, right?
It's all about the build.
Yep.
Wrestling is the greatest show you can possibly go to.
Exactly.
It has something for everybody.
I like to call it the male soap opera because the ladies have their soap operas, but the men's soap opera involves fighting, it involves betrayal, it involves love, heartache, anger, passion, all the things that make a great story.
A great wrestling show should have something for everybody.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
You got your high-flying match, you've got your ladies, you've got your powerhouse matches.
That's right.
You got your technical wrestling. PWA focuses a lot more on the, I guess, old school
Oh, I love it.
Nice.
part of wrestling. We don't really do hardcore.
You don't need that anymore. They had
Yeah, you
its
don't
time
need
and
that.
place. It had its time and place, and we moved on. We don't.
Yep.
All this hardcore shit I see on YouTube now, man, I'm disgusted by it.
I agree. It's actually, very 90s, which I love the 90s. I grew
Oh
up in
yeah,
the
I do too.
Yeah, I still love the Attitude Era. I still love all those hardcore matches and
But you don't.
the barbed wire and ECW back then. And
It has its place, and there are companies that do that. And
Yep.
if that's what works for them, fine. But
And there's companies that do death matches, but if that works for them, fine. But
we believe in a very old school mentality.
the old school is better.
Wrestling for people that like wrestling.
Exactly.
that's a show I can take my son to.
Yes.
Yes. We
And
are
also-
probably the most family-friendly entertainment you'll find.
Good.
That's what I'm talking
Hell
about.
yeah.
Does it also feature comedy? Because also there is a place for comedy wrestling. A lot of people don't agree, but the fact is, comedy wrestling is one of the best ones to have.
I love comedy wrestling.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. R-Truth. The reason why he stayed so popular is because he knows how to be perfect at timing. His comedy is impeccable.
Great. And he doesn't age.
Exactly. I feel like he's a vampire because he still looks like he did in TNA.
He looks younger than he is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've always equated a good wrestling show to a good circus show.
Yep.
You don't go to the circus just to see the strong man lift weights for 2 hours.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't go just to see the tightrope walkers and the trapeze acts. You go for it all. You go for the clowns. You go for the jugglers. You go for the tightrope, the acrobats, the strongman. You go for it all.
Exactly.
And
Something
that's-
for everybody.
Yeah, and
That's
what,
right.
That's what wrestling should be. It should be the comedy,
It's
the
the melting
strongman,
pot.
the whatever. It should be all that.
An entertainment buffet.
That's
Yes.
right. Because the fans will love it. The fans come and they get their money's worth when you have all that.
If you come and you don't necessarily like the high flyers, then you've got the women.
Exactly.
If you don't like the women, you've got the powerhouse.
That's right.
Something for everybody. That's what we try to do with every match.
And that's what professional wrestling is. It's the melting pot because it has something for everybody.
I feel people that say they don't like wrestling have never given it an honest chance.
Exactly.
No, they see two guys in tights rolling around. That's all they see.
That's all they see.
And
which everybody's entitled to their opinion.
But no, you know what? You go back, you show them an old school Stone Cold promo, you show them a Dusty Rhodes promo,
and they changed their tune real fast because we had a friend, TA. He'd fallen out of love with wrestling. He hadn't been messing with wrestling at all. We brought him onto the podcast, and he started getting back into wrestling. He started tuning in regularly, and he start coming on to the podcast, talking more about wrestling, making wrestling hints, and we're like, you're a fan of wrestling now. And then The Rock showed up, and he got even more back into wrestling. And now he tunes in regularly just to see if The Rock will pop up as well. That's the beauty of wrestling.
A lot of people say that when the stars kind of stopped showing up is when they started tuning out. The Rock, Stone Cold, all kind of left around the same time. But one thing WWE's always been good at is they build new stars.
Exactly.
Yep. And when WWE's hot, it trickles down to the independents.
That's
always
right.
Has.
Exactly.
So right now is a very good time for wrestling. If you can't afford a WWE ticket, come out to whatever local independent show is close to you. It doesn't have to be PWA.
Exactly.
I'd love it if it was, but it doesn't have to be PWA.
No, there's
so many in this area.
Lots of strong promotions running around.
Cincinnati's a hotbed. Lexington and Louisville's a hotbed. And everywhere in between. Yep. You can find several independent wrestling shows every weekend. Take your kids. That's how I fell in love. My dad took me when I was 10 years old to my first wrestling show.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
I've been in love ever since. And my dad did not like wrestling. He took me because he knew I wanted to go.
What show was it? Was it a WWF? Was it a Memphis?
It was a big-time wrestling show.
Nah, he's from Virginia, West Virginia.
Well, they're from Chillicothe, Ohio, in the West Virginia
Ohio.
area. Yeah, they were in Chillicothe at that time, but they were West Virginia, and I believe North Carolina as well. It was my 10th birthday, and my hometown, nothing happened. I was raised in a very small town.
Yeah.
So there was nothing going on, and which is perfect for a wrestling promotion. Go to the small towns where nothing's going on. You will have you don't have as big of an audience as you would in a Lexington or Cincinnati, but you will have the entire town there.
And they'll all be salivating.
Yes, because something is finally coming here. We've got entertainment coming in, and pro wrestling most of the time is one of the cheapest tickets you can find. You can go to you can take the family to a pro wrestling show for the price of a movie ticket.
Yep. That's right.
Yep.
I mean, have you been to the movies lately?
Yeah, I just did last week.
You can't go to a movie and be affordable.
No.
Well, you go to a wrestling event, it's affordable.
$40, your whole family's in the door.
That's right.
Yep.
And PWA are charged $10 for adults, $5 for kids.
And that ain't bad at all. No, that's just $15.
Yeah, for you and your son.
That's cheap.
Go watch wrestling. Hey, if you and your wife want some alone time, drop the kids off.
$10. Exactly. But it's good because WWE may have brought fans, but fans need to understand this. You don't need the stars to love professional wrestling. John Cena was not always there. You should have been loving wrestling because it's not about the stars. It's about all of the wrestlers. Like Eddie Guerrero. Like anyone that you've seen on Independence. Like Omega Dean. That's a badass right there. Zodiac. Our original Nice Game Podcast champion. And all these people make wrestling. It's not about the stars. Because if the stars leave, you got stars that'll come up. That'll be the next stars.
Just got to give them a chance.
Exactly. Because when I watched all the wrestling fans be like, I used to love wrestling, but then Stone Cold up, I'm like, then you wasn't a wrestling fan. You were just a fan of the person.
Right. Yeah. Casual fan, they like Stone Cold.
Because a hardcore fan will love wrestling no matter if Stone Cold's there or Undertaker's there.
Exactly.
You're going to love what you're seeing because all the new guys have come up. They've proven that they can just be as good as Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and all them too. Because Stone Cold wasn't babyface for all his time because he was on top for, I think it was 6 years, and then he had to retire.
His big run even that big? I mean, he won the King of the Ring in '96.
Yep.
He didn't win his first world title till '98, which
Yep.
it was genius that they slow played that.
Yep.
That was all
They didn't
Austin's
give it to
idea.
him right
And
away.
then he had to take a break at the end of '99.
99.
Comes back mid 2000 for the whole Triple H and Rikishi storyline. Well, who ran over Stone Cold?
Well,
Was on top for a little bit in 2001, but by 2002 is when he started to go downward until finally a quiet retirement in 2003.
WrestleMania 19 against
Yep.
Rock in Seattle.
And then the funny thing is, The Rock ended up retiring just after that because he went to pursue movies.
I was at
wouldn't
that
even go by
WrestleMania,
name.
actually.
Nice.
Nice.
That
Hell
was my
yeah.
first WrestleMania. I was in college.
Hell
Me and
yeah.
all my buddies flew out.
Hey, that right there is generational.
Did not even know it would be his last match. Stone Cold was my favorite at that time.
Hell yeah.
I had no idea it was
Yep.
his last match.
And then Rock ended up following suit because he ended up retiring very young. He wouldn't even go by The Rock during his movie days. And then finally something changed. He's like, all right, now you can put The Rock inside my name.
Well, that's because he was able to purchase the Rock name from Vince.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, in the beginning, Vince owned Rock completely, so he could only go as Dwayne Johnson.
Well,
That's true.
or you had to, I understand you had to pay Vince like a mint just to put it on the poster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My understanding of it.
But his retirement was early. He retired at 32. And then John Cena became the big face about 2005. Started his big thing. Then about 2007 when The Rock comes back. They start their little feud, which had a bit of truth to it because it seems like, dude, you didn't want nothing to do with wrestling after you left it. And yet here you are. That's just the beauty of professional wrestling because The Rock, even if he wasn't acting heel, he kind of was heel. But at the same time, John Cena wanted to be a heel. That's way back. He even had the theme song and the gear made for it. And they were like, no, we need our bread and butter to keep on making that merch for those kids. So you're not allowed to be a heel.
Oop, that's exactly right. It's everybody says it's so much funner to be a heel.
Oh, it is.
I
I've
could
always
see
heard
it.
that. I've
I
always
could-
heard that.
I could see it.
And the reason why is because as a heel, you're not restricted. As a babyface, you have to
You have
draw
to
a line.
smile. You have to shake hands.
And you
You
have
have
to
to walk. You have to walk upright.
Yep. And you also have to do things that make the kids happy.
Absolutely.
But as a heel,
You can do whatever you want.
exactly, you can say,
But-
fuck
Give
them
somebody
kids.
off. Go
But there are
piss
some
somebody off.
people that love being loved. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But there's also heels that can't be hated. That as soon as they turn heel, the fans still love them.
yeah, it's eventually they'll grow to love it if it's good enough.
Yeah.
they'll grow to love it.
But if you're good at being a heel to a point that you can make those fans stop loving you, then you've done something right.
Kurt Angle was a great heel.
Yes. Because Kurt Angle understood. Never forget that he could cut promos that were funny as hell. And also the I make your ankle hurt.
Oh,
Version of
sexy
HK
Kurt.
sing.
Yeah. Marty Jannetty still can't walk.
Yeah, that's right. That was a great heel because he understood that he needed to be an asshole.
Kurt Angle was really a total package wrestler. I mean, he
Yep.
can wrestle, obviously. He's an
Yep.
Olympic gold medalist. And he had the personality.
He did.
He understood what to do in every moment. He needed to be intense. He was intense. He needed to be funny. He was in funny. I mean, the saying is understood the assignment nowadays. I
Yep.
hear a lot of the kids talking. Kurt Angle
Exactly.
understood the assignment.
Right.
He was great.
Is there anyone that has worked for you that you say understood the assignment?
Several, yeah.
Good.
I
Give
talked
them
earlier
their
about Carson
flowers.
Drake.
Nice.
And look at what he's doing now. NWA, television champion.
Sure is.
TV every week. He's great. Tegan Rose, who you had in here last
Yep.
night, that girl's going to be a star. If she
That's
sticks
right.
with it, sky's the limit. She can do anything.
And their story is inspirational.
Birdo. I mean,
Man.
Nice. I remember when he was the Executioner.
executioner. Yeah.
And now he's even bigger than that. He's transcended that.
as good as that gimmick was, he did that well with that gimmick without that really even. he wasn't into that. That wasn't his personality. It didn't let his personality shine, and he was still that good with it.
Yep.
So once he got a gimmick that was him, because I mean the best gimmicks in wrestling are just your own real personality with the volume turned up.
Yep.
Everybody
Turn
says
up to
that,
100.
and there's a reason they say that because it's the truth.
Yep.
I met Carson Drake when he was a babyface running around clapping hands with everybody. I mean, that's great because he's got the look.
Yep.
You want to cheer for the guy, but he is his personality.
Yep. He is an asshole by his own admission.
And that's what you see right now, and he's great at it.
Exactly. And that's something that you got to do. When you get a gimmick that you know that you are, you got to dial it up to 100.
Got to run with it.
Because you're basically putting yourself into that gimmick. Because Carson Drake, what you see is just him dialed up to 111.
Oh, yeah. And he's like that when you're out with him, too. Like I said,
Yep.
maybe not quite as up.
Yep.
Right.
But he'll be right there inside the middle.
Yeah. But he's that person. He's
That's
everything
right.
you see on
It's
TV.
me.
That's the perfect catchphrase because it's him.
Yep.
Sure is. And I remember when he was wearing a cowboy hat just because. Mm-hmm. I remember it was in New South Wrestling. New South Wrestling had Carson Drake. One night, Carson Drake decides, I'm going to wear some cowboy boots. I'm going to borrow a cowboy hat. Starts calling himself Cowboy Carson.
Yep.
I mean, it worked for him because the fans were absolutely hating this whole thing because he was doing things that were annoying as hell.
I can see that, yeah.
And in that phase of his career, he's like, I'm not Cowboy Carson no more. Ditches the boots and everything. I guess because the fans start liking Cowboy Carson.
Like I said, eventually, if you're good at what you do, even if it's meant to be hated, people are going to acclimate to it.
That's right.
That's how it works.
Is he still walking around with that megaphone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. It got broken one night in New South.
Yeah.
And we all thought for sure it was done with, over with. He was never going to have that again. The next time that they had a show,
Order another one.
he comes out with an even bigger megaphone.
There you go.
That's like this man right here, Zodiac. This man has adapted many, many decades. He's worn different masks. This one right now that he's wearing, his current design, he wears different variations of it. This man is one of those guys that gets it. He can be a heel or he can be a babyface or a tweener. But as a heel, he really makes you want to hate him. He used to scare Nice Guy Andy's son because Zodiac has always come out with fire inside his hand, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Leon Lexington, Andy's son, every time he see that, he start bawling his eyes out, scared to death of the man with fire. And that's when you know you've done something right.
That's when it works, absolutely.
Exactly, because that's professional wrestling. And the independent wrestling scene has a lot of great talent. And with a lot of great characters as well. Referees, great promoters. When they're all thriving together, everyone's thriving. I think that a lot of people should reach out to PWA because that's a great goal that you have. Because it's going to help the greens that haven't learned yet learn to flourish all the way up to where they can say, I'm a star.
That's what we want. I smile every time I think about it, honestly.
That's right. And that's a great mindset to have. Because for the longest time, people didn't think Kentucky had wrestling. For some reason, even though they know Ricochet's on WWE or that, to them, they didn't think that Kentucky ever had anything good. We've had professional wrestling.
OVW has been around for
Exactly.
years.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also, they didn't even realize that Randy Savage used to wrestle here. Yeah. ICW. And yet, the people that have went to our shows and experienced our shows, nobody tried to stand up and say, hey, I've been to great Kentucky professional wrestling like NWA, Mount Wrestling Association. I've been to all these great promotions. But now, if you were to ask someone now that's been going to these companies, they could tell you, I watched Zodiac. I've watched Marty Clay. I've watched Omega. I've watched Tegan Rose. That's because Kentucky wrestling and Indiana wrestling, all these great promotions are doing a fire job at bringing the fans back. All the kids love it. Just think, his son here, Killian, he loves professional wrestling. He'll come right up to him. He'll be flipping them off. Right to the heel's face.
Carson Drake, one night at New South, might have been one of his first matches there. He gave my son the bird. And my son turned around and said, "Dad, can I do it back?" And I went, "You fucking better." And ever since then, man, my boy lets that bird fly.
What's up, DJ Easy? See, he's tuned in. That's another great one from Grindhouse Pro Wrestling.
Awesome.
He's a regular viewer. Tunes in almost every week when we're on. But that's the beauty of independent professional wrestling. Whereas WWE and AEW, you can't really interact with the wrestlers. On the independent scene, you can interact with the heel and babyface both alike. You can even walk up to their merch table with the heels being an asshole and give them the bird, and he'll give you a bird back.
Then buy a picture.
Yep.
Exactly. Because
Here, asshole, sign this.
That's right.
There you go.
So he can sign it as asshole instead of his name. It'll still be a sign.
Yep.
But
It'd be a one of a kind.
that's why professional wrestling now is on fire. Because for the longest time, it felt like we're at a stalemate. Like we were never going to reach new heights. And then 2022 happened. And it's felt like every day something new has been coming out. Something prosperous.
Vince
some
had to go
new
away.
wrestlers. That's right. Once he was gone.
As much as I hate to say it, because Vince had a lot of great ideas.
No, he did. Wrestling would not be what it is without Vince.
That's true.
Wrestling might not even exist if it wasn't for Vince today.
You're right. But there's a time
at
and
the
a
end,
place.
at the
That's
end,
right.
At the end, he had no more good ideas.
Yep.
Everything was getting stale. He had to go. I'm sorry.
And he didn't come up with WrestleMania's name.
Nope.
It was Howard Finkel.
That's true. Absolutely.
And yet this man may have helped wrestling to what it is today. But if he had stayed, it would never have gotten to where it is now.
Vince needed Pat. He needed Slaughter. He needed Briscoe. He needed all those guys around him. Because Vince doesn't know wrestling. Vince knows marketing.
He knows entertainment. He knows
Yep.
marketing.
All them other guys he's surrounded with knew wrestling, and all them combined, what made it what it was.
The comedy of that story is every time he tried to do something outside of wrestling, it failed miserably.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Every time.
The XFL is proof of that.
Well, I mean,
XFL,
with
the World Bodybuilding
Yep.
the ICO Pro, he tried to do that with himself. He didn't surround himself with other guys from that business. The bodybuilding, he didn't align with other bodybuilding promoters or anything. He tried to do that solo.
He tried to promote boxing. It fell on its face. Evil Knievel fell on its face.
Yep.
Yep.
Wrestling was the only thing he could ever do.
Yep.
But he did it better than anybody else.
He did.
And you're right, because he surrounded himself with people. That's having a good team is just as important as almost anything.
And that's Tony Khan's downfall, is he won't give himself a team.
No, yeah, AEW is a little rough to watch.
Yep.
Sometimes. I hate to talk bad about anybody.
Oh, we talk about him all the time.
We try not to, but
it's almost a broken record.
We basically started loving them. Our whole show on Wednesdays was we would go live while watching AEW. For the first couple of years, it was so great, so awesome. But here's the problem. Cody Rhodes left. And then the issues started to happen. Just kept on and kept on. And they're still going today.
You never realize how much one person does till they're not there anymore.
Yep.
But here's the difference between him and Triple H. Triple H has a great team around him. Guys like Abyss, who used to wrestle here in Kentucky. Guys like Bobby Roode. And so many more that he surrounds himself with that are understanding. Like even Pat McAfee, people give him shit. But the man has Triple H's trust to the point where Triple H was letting him put together that speech from last year, WrestleMania. Like, that's a lot of trust for one person to be getting.
I love Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's great.
Man.
Me too.
He's one. Him and Logan Paul both. Logan Paul knows what it's like to be a good heel. You don't have to like him.
No.
That's right.
Most people don't.
I don't like either Paul brothers, but I respect the shit out of Logan for getting in that ring, lacing up his boots, and doing what he's been doing.
He knows
Yep.
what he's doing, absolutely. At Elimination Chamber, when he heard that they were all booing the American national anthem, first thing he did was go find an American flag to come
That's
out with.
smart.
Yep.
That is great
Genius.
heel work.
Genius.
As soon as he heard that, he didn't stop to think. He was like, let me go get this American
Gotta be a
flag.
flag around here somewhere. I need it.
And when he's inside the pod, he's drawing on the glass backwards. It comes out to translate by how we would read it forward. So he's pretty much taught himself how to do that.
He's a smart man, absolutely.
Well,
I mean,
Johnny, he only wrote an O and a V and another O. I don't think you can write that backwards.
OBO.
now the year before, he was making
I'll
fun of
give
Kevin
him the year
Owens.
before.
Yeah,
the year
that's
before,
right.
I'll give him-
He was making a fat man.
Called him an angry donut or something like
Yeah.
that.
That one was great.
But that just shows professional wrestling. Because now it's got even guys like Travis Scott, a rapper, wanting to be a wrestler. He got his first taste, and already to him, he wants to do it. He said himself that this is better than performing on a stage in front of people.
There's
Because-
definitely a rush. I mean,
Because think about it. When you're inside that ring, you got millions of eyes on you, not just the crowd. If there's a camera there, you got the millions of fans that's at home watching as well.
Shit, damn near 1 billion now. It's on Netflix.
not,
Yeah.
very
Whole
many,
world.
not very many concerts are broadcast live. So
That's
that was
right.
Definitely an added crowd.
And the fact that celebrities like him want to be a wrestler now, I can give him my respect because he's shown respect to wrestling. Because there's other celebrities that wouldn't be shown it that kind of respect. You think about it.
It seems they tend to come around when it's hot, which
Yep.
I respect. I get it. You know, from a PR move, it makes sense. You don't want to be
Yep.
doing it when there's not as much eyes on it as possible.
But at the same time,
So it's a business move, but at the same time, yes, we'll see. Definitely see where it goes. Well, Bad Bunny was doing it, and it wasn't
Yeah.
crazy hot at that time. I mean, it was building steam.
he
It was
did a
getting
great
back up.
thing.
He was a good worker. I mean,
I want to see him versus Travis Scott now.
there you go.
Because think about it. You've already got one rapper that's did a Canadian Destroyer. Why not have him versus Travis Scott? Because that
There's-
would be a good one if they get trained by Damian Priest.
Because the only thing that Travis Scott can do is just slap you in the ear.
Yes.
Well, only if Snoop Dogg's a special referee.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but Snoop Dogg would be wanting to do a frog splash on him.
Well, Snoop Dogg called it in the ring at WrestleMania 39.
Yeah, he did.
Better than
Hey,
some
you're right.
workers I've seen.
Hell yeah.
You're right, because freaking Shane McMahon did a basic leapfrog and somehow tore his cross. Worst possible moment.
I felt so bad. But you remember Vince did that, the one you're just rolling.
Yep, I remember. But he tore both quads. As soon as he slides inside ring, first thing he did is just sit there like, I'm just going to restart the match. Just let's have it.
The Royal Rumble, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one thing about wrestling. You never know if you're going to get hurt because it's not ballet.
No, not at all.
It's the most physically taxing sport there is.
Just look at what happened to Blue Panther last week.
Yeah.
He blew out his knee walking to the ring.
Yeah, that can happen.
Wow.
But that's the thing about wrestling. A lot of people try to joke about it, but it's the most physically taxing thing that you could experience because everything hurts.
Oh, yeah.
It don't matter if you're getting punched, kicked, being dropped onto your head, getting thrown onto the mat, getting thrown outside the ring, getting laid into the apron, getting laid into the post, getting laid into the guardrail, or even having a fan slap you. You're still getting hurt.
Man, I've seen people get bruises just running ropes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, if you don't hit them right, you absolutely will.
That's right. And back then, a lot of people would get hurt from running ropes because back then, that was how they found if you wanted it.
Yep.
If you could run those ropes with that pain still inside your back and you still show that you want it, the sky's the limit. But if you were one of those guys that runs that rope and then after about 2 or 3 runs into it and you just stop and you're crying, you're holding your back and saying that you're hurting and it's pain, that they'd be like, you do know that you're going to be doing this for about 365 days, give or take. Yeah. That's how they used to weed out. Oh, and don't forget, Hulk Hogan. When he first started, his trainer wanted to see if he really wanted it. So he snapped his ankle.
Yep.
And then Hogan came back and he's like, hey, man, I want to be trained by you.
Never been a huge fan of the trial by fire method, but it can weed some people out.
It can.
The truth.
Because there are some that, instead of wanting it, they just want to coast by.
There are people that just want it for the glory. And you better be ready to bleed for wrestling.
Yep.
It'll bleed you. It's not overnight.
That's right, because you got to be willing to give your all to it. Because you got to make sacrifices. You got to show that you love it.
Oh, yeah.
Passion. And the fans will, if they detect any amount of insincerity, they will tear you apart.
Oh, easy, yeah.
They
can detect it. Absolutely, they can.
Because look what happened with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. They found out before the match ever happened that both men were out the door. And they tore that match apart.
Yeah, I was actually kind of looking forward to that match.
I
was too.
Lesnar could work. I was never a big Bill Goldberg fan. I understood the people that liked him, why they liked him.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my act.
But
Lesnar could work. So
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a decent match.
We did too,
a
but
20-minute stare down.
But man,
The only thing I remember of that match is Stone Cold stunning both of them.
that's the only thing that the fans love. You know what's bad is when you're having a match and the referee's the guy that's getting the most love, and you're not even getting love at all. You're getting hated on both sides.
That's when you know something went wrong.
Yep.
Well, that's what happens when you go in not caring. When you go into a match, you don't care.
They knew they were out of there.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, that match was built up to be something bigger than what it should have been.
Oh, yeah.
And they came in there, didn't really care about making it big. They just want to get there, get the paycheck, and get out. The fans latched onto that, and they were like, all right, fuck you both. But then they see Austin. Yeah, Austin! The biggest pop of the night was him stunning both of them.
Oh, yeah, easy. WrestleMania 20 was a good one, too.
It was. Yeah. That was when The Undertaker came back as the hybrid Undertaker. Because contrary to what people think, when he came back, he was the American Badass and the Dead Man combined.
Well, he hadn't grown his hair fully out yet.
Yep. Yeah. But also, I liked the short-haired version of the Dead Man hybrid because at the time, it looked wild when he's on SmackDown. He takes off the hat and he's got the bandana on underneath the hat. That was a wild visual.
It worked.
But
the Undertaker just, again, he knew what he was doing. It worked for 20 years.
And also, he understood how to adapt in the generations. Because as a wrestler, you got to learn what the people want. Because sometimes the cartoony stuff will work. But if you're out there working a crowd that loves raw and gritty, you got to adapt to that. Just like on the independents. When you're working out there inside the ring and the crowd is not showing any reception to you, you got to switch it up.
Got to change something.
Exactly, because that's how you adapt. You got to prove that you can adapt on the fly underneath that pressure.
Now, don't get me wrong. One thing I've seen also, crowd can be quiet and still be engaged.
That's true.
It all depends on the match.
Look at Japan. Look at any Japanese match.
That
was the first time. I didn't know anything about the Japanese culture or how they viewed wrestling or anything. First time I saw a Japanese match, I'm like, does the crowd not want to be there? What are they doing?
Well, they do it as, like an art form. Yeah.
Yeah, but after I realized like how the Japanese are, and like you have to get them to react, so it makes your match have to be that much
exactly.
Better. But I've watched crowds that they're quiet. They cheer, they boo, but they're not like standing on their feet, standing on their chairs.
Right.
But if they're not on their phone, if they're not up walking around, if they're sitting down watching, they are engaged in what you are doing. And if you're telling a story, you want people to sit there and watch.
And trust me.
Now, there are matches that are made to get the comedy spots are made to get the cheers, and the false finishes are made to get the ohs. But there's matches, and you watch the crowd, they're quiet. You think they're not paying attention. They are hanging on to every move.
Exactly. Just like the Japanese wrestling promotions. The Japanese love their wrestling. One thing that you'll notice that they show wrestling is so much love and respect that when they're quiet, it's not because they're bored. It's because they're engaged in what the men are doing. Look at this match. Undertaker versus Hakushi. Hakushi's gimmick was that he was a dead man himself. fans latched on to this because it was a spectacle. The Undertaker, the dead man himself, versus an actual dead man martial artist. They worked the crowd so well that you could see the passion that the fans had for every move that they did. It shows.
I love Takushi, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I was always disappointed he didn't get a better run. His matches with Bret Hart were great.
Oh,
yes.
Man. Yeah.
Great guy, because when he was there, he's one of those guys that was underrated. Him and Bret Hart worked great together.
Of course, now he kind of hit at a down period. 95, 94, WWE was going through a transition phase.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't help him either.
Yep.
But yeah, it's almost like as soon as he got hot, he was gone.
And sometimes that's a detriment because Hakushi had just started the dead man gimmick and he was gone. The reason why he started the gimmick is because they were going to have a match with The Undertaker in front of the American crowds. Didn't happen. What did happen was the Japanese crowd got it. And it proved to be something that would have been special.
Oh, fire.
Because Undertaker was whipping out moves that he was doing in America.
Have you ever seen, I believe it was April of 93, Hulk Hogan and the Great Muta?
Yes.
I never knew Hulk Hogan could do an enziguri.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Because Hulk Hogan in America, he works a way more limited style. But when he's in Japan, this man is whipping out moves that you never thought he could do.
Hogan can wrestle. He gets all the flack because he can't wrestle. He can wrestle.
He
It's
can.
not what his crowd wanted to see. So
Reminds me of John Cena. Because remember, he was being booed because he was only 5 moves doomed. This man starts whipping out moves that you never thought they could do, from Hurricanranas to power bombs to other moves that you didn't think that this man even knew were existing.
he stepped his game up. Yeah,
He did.
Well, we've always said, a wrestler, just because you can do a move, doesn't mean you should do the move.
Absolutely. Brock Lesnar and the Shooting Star Press.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
So when you get to Hogan, an enziguri doesn't work in America.
Right.
It doesn't fit his gimmick, doesn't fit
Yeah.
the character. His wrestling style in America fit the Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, gimmick.
Get worked the whole match, wake up,
Yep.
3 punches, clothesline, body slam, bootleg drop. And people
That
loved
was
it.
his style.
People
The
make
formula.
fun of it now, but it worked for 20 years.
It did. A lot of people don't understand that in wrestling. You don't have to do every move inside the book.
Don't have to kill yourself every single night.
Exactly.
That's what they don't get in AEW.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on independence, a lot of people could understand this. You don't have to work every move. All you got to do to get the fans invested is make sure that they believe in your character. And also, you don't have to do 24 moves of the match. Just use a few. And I guarantee the fans are going to latch on to that match like it's the greatest match since sliced bread. Because look at Hogan. 5 moves. That's all he needed. Because he had the Hulk up. And then he had the leg drop, the atomic drop. He had the power slam. And then,
Clothesline.
yep. And then he
Hair-
also
the-
had
the
this.
hair
He had
flip.
the ripping his shirt open. And
Ripping the shirt. Does it?
pretty much the crowd loved that.
Oh, yeah.
And think about this. 1998, WCW. People thought that Hogan's whole 5 moves doom doesn't work in that style. Well, I'm here to tell you. When he became red and yellow Hulk Hogan again, the fans loved it.
Lost it.
They ate that up. That's just further proof that in wrestling, you don't always need to have a lot of moves. All you got to do is have a good character, know how to invest in yourself, and know what's going to get that crowd off their feet or show them the respect that you have for your craft.
Oh, yeah. Well, wrestling is, if you love wrestling, you can find a spot in it. That's
Yep.
something that's great about wrestling.
Exactly.
Like if I woke up tomorrow and decided I want to be a football player, guess what? It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep, that's true.
But if you want to get into wrestling, you can. Now you got to work at it.
Yep.
You can't just wake up and hey, I'm going to be a wrestler and tomorrow night be in the main event.
You got to
You
learn.
got to learn. You got to work. But if you're willing to put that dedication in and it's something you truly want, you can do it.
Exactly.
Now you've got to find your place. You can't go out like having a road warrior gimmick
Yeah.
when you look like Steve Urkel.
You can.
You got to have a Steve Urkel
You got to at
gimmick.
least put in the effort to make yourself look like a star.
Exactly.
Because if you don't,
if you don't have the look for something, you've got the look for something else. It may not necessarily be what you want to do, per se. Everybody wants to be a big, badass, tough guy. But not everybody looks like one.
That's right.
You know, find your look. Find what gimmick works for your look and your personality. Work at it. Put in the effort. And I guarantee you may not get to the main event at WrestleMania, but you will get somewhere. And if that's what you want to do, then put in that effort. Put in that time. Find a good trainer. There's plenty around. We have a training school in Carrollton. There's the Carrollton Training and Recreation Center on Wednesday nights. Ryan's a great trainer. Draven's a great trainer. We have referee training, wrestling training, promo training. Look into it, please. There's others. If it's too far for you to go, there's several in the Lexington area, several in the Cincinnati area, everywhere in between. You can do something in this business, and who knows? You know, several great wrestlers came from this area.
That's
Abyss came from this area. Rhino came from around this area. I mean, there's all kinds of people.
That's right.
And it might be you next. OVW turned out a master class of people. John Cena was an OVW. Randy Orton was an OVW. Batista was an OVW.
Brock Lesnar, Shelton
Benjamin. Carlito made his way through there. I mean, all kinds of people. It can be done.
That's right.
But, I mean, it's hard work.
It is.
It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of, traveling for very little, if any, pay.
Yep. And you might get a hot dog.
Or in a head shake.
Or if you're Sean, you might get a hot dog emoji.
That's right. Hot dog emoji.
But it's out there. That's all I'm trying to tell anybody that's listening that's thought about it but hasn't pulled the trigger. Do the legwork. Pull the trigger if it's something you truly want to do. And if it doesn't work out for you, you tried.
Exactly.
On to the next thing.
And there's always a place for you. Because if you don't become a wrestler, you can become a referee. If you can't be a referee, you could become a cameraman. Because you can learn how to use the camera.
I wanted to be a wrestler back in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I hurt my knees. That led to me hurting my back. It didn't work out. I'm still
That's
around.
True. Yep.
Exactly. And me and Andy, we did have a match back in June 5th of last year for England. He booked it. We didn't ask to be in there or anything. He booked it because we were down in Tennessee. And I got to tell you, running the ropes is hard work because a lot of people think that a footballer can go in there. No, because it's different. When I was running those ropes, I was gassed because you can be a good stamina, but you're still going to be gassed unless you do what you need to do to get that stamina up for that ring work. When I beat Andy, we did something right. A lot of people, they may think that we were mocking the business, but that wasn't it. Because we didn't say that we were wrestlers. We were podcasters. And it was booked as a podcaster versus podcaster thing, like a gimmick match.
Right.
So that made me gain more respect for wrestling because wrestlers have to go out there inside that ring and they have to run those ropes. And that's not an easy thing to do because a lot of people think that's easy. It's not.
No, not at all. That's one of the first things. And back to great training. That's one of the first things you should be trained to do, run the ropes, because you're going to do it all the time.
Yep. Exactly, because that's a lot of leg work.
And if you don't do it right, you will mess your back up.
Yes. I always got to remember also to hook that top rope. Because if you don't, anything bad could happen. Because you could run that rope and the rope snaps your neck. Or you forget to hook that rope and then you fly over the top rope and hit that apron hard.
My size, if I hit it wrong, it would hit the middle rope would always hit me right in the kidney.
Ooh. Oh, that's the worst.
And so I had to adapt to, I would come in at the side.
Or like how John Cena would do it. Because this man would throw himself into ropes and he'd have that one leg out. It was like he was just trying to avoid just running the ropes and having both legs against the rope.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to find something that works for you. But, yeah,
exactly.
That's the first thing you've got to learn how to do.
Because that's the most important thing. Because when you're out there inside that ring, the first thing you're going to want to do is Irish whip your opponent to the ropes. Or you're going to be backing yourself up against the ropes and running at your opponent. You don't want to be that guy that forgot to learn how to do that. Because as soon as you come off those ropes, your opponent's going to kick your ass because he's going to hit you with a big boot or he's going to hit you with a clothesline.
Absolutely.
It's like basketball, before you ever learn to shoot, you got to learn to dribble.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
Exactly. There was we were running a show in Zanesville one night, Zanesville, Ohio.
Good place.
There was a guy that just came up to me and he wanted to learn how to wrestle, and I told him what to do, and just kept talking to me about his gimmick. He wanted to be a Viking. I heard about it all night long, I love to interact with fans.
Yeah.
I love it, but sometimes you can only take so much
Yep.
about the same thing.
Yeah.
And so finally, I'm like, man, no one cares about your gimmick. Learn how to do your fundamentals. Learn how to work. Your gimmick is the last thing you need to be concerned about.
Yep.
Exactly.
That'll come at the end.
Exactly, because the fundamentals are the most important thing in professional wrestling. Because if you don't know those, then you're not going to be cut out for
Your
this.
gimmick don't mean anything.
Any
Exactly.
gimmick can get over by the right wrestler.
Exactly.
It's not the gimmick that gets you over. You get the gimmick over.
That's right.
It goes back to what I said about Road Warrior Urkel.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you try to be Road Warrior Animal and you look like a guy that's so tiny that Road Warrior Animal would eat you, then you need to get out of business,
Not gonna
brother.
work.
And I have seen someone try to be like a bodybuilder type, and I'm like, dude, there ain't no way that you lift 500 pounds.
I've seen several people miscasting gimmicks that just weren't for them, and I've sat down and I've tried to explain it to them, but that's at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do anything.
Right.
That's right.
What they want to do.
But they also need to understand that critique helps you get better.
It does. I mean, these guys had great gear. I'm not going to name any names. They had great gear, looked like $1 million until they took the gear off, and they looked like a couple of fools.
They just got to remember that you were giving them advice, and that advice should be listened to because any advice is good advice.
And I don't know everything. Anytime anybody gives me advice, I listen.
Yep,
Just
because
like I love help when it comes to, like, if somebody suggests a story, I may not necessarily use it,
yeah,
but I always appreciate the feedback.
yep,
And most of the time, you take, like, say, if you were to suggest something, I would take pieces of that,
Exactly.
put it together, and that's what makes
That's
it
the best way to do
exactly.
it.
And also, you got to be willing to have your mouth shut and these open.
Shut your mouth and open your ears.
Because that's one of the first rules of wrestling. You want to learn how to wrestle, you first got to be willing to shut up and listen.
Can't learn something when you're talking.
That's right.
If everyone's talking, who's listening?
Exactly. And when you're trying to come up with your gimmick before you're doing your fundamentals, you ain't going to make it because you got your priorities wrong. You got to first want to learn the fundamentals first. You got to learn everything in between. Then finally, you can start trying to come up with what you think would fit and get the fans riled up.
The very last thing is your gimmick.
That's right.
You've got everything else, then start sweating your gimmick.
That's right, because the gimmick is never the most important.
And if that one's not working, find something else.
Exactly.
That's right.
Can't be afraid of change.
And if you can't wrestle, then try to be a referee or lend your services other ways. Because there's always a place for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because professional wrestling is the one place where you can do that. Because other places would be like, well, you can't play basketball. You can't throw a football, so you're cut.
See you later.
Yep.
Exactly. But when you're in wrestling, you can either become a referee, you can become a commentator, do camera work, do leg work, assistant work, anything that fits and is helpful.
Manager.
Exactly.
Yep.
A manager's a good deal.
Good managers are kind of being phased out lately, but they're such an important part.
They
of it.
are.
I
Especially
love a
for
good
guys that
manager,
can't talk.
man.
Exactly.
I love a good manager because there's some guys that cannot talk, so they need someone that has a charismatic voice that will talk for them.
People got to have a mouthpiece.
That's right.
Some just do. If you can work, but you can't cut a promo, yes, absolutely. Find somebody that can. There's your manager.
One of the greatest managers was right here in Kentucky. Gentleman Jim Chadwick. And no one can top that man. That man once went toe-to-toe with an ECW guy, and when they were done, the ECW guy asked him, who writes your stuff? And Gentleman Jim Chadwick told him, it's off the cuff, baby. Which is true.
Oh, the best stuff's organic. I mean, absolutely.
Exactly. And that's why managers are so important. We need more of them.
We do, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's kind of a lost art. Not a lot of people want to do it.
My favorite managers right now is Scott Diamond and Showbiz from Grindhouse because they know how to talk.
I'm a fan of Lemon Juice.
Yeah, but Lemon Juice retired.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that.
He died. He got bit by a hooker that he was seeing, and
This is...
yeah.
Okay. He retired. Did he die first or did he retire first?
He died first, and then
Then he
he's
retired,
gone.
which, yeah, it'd been
Well, I
kinda
mean, that
hard.
kind of goes hand in hand.
I'm dead, but I'll be there.
It was a strange time
It
for
sounds
sure.
quite like it, yes.
Because when I first saw it, I was like, "What are you doing?" Lim Juicy kept on talking about a bite on his neck, and I guess he's gonna go for a vampire into his character because
Sounds like you got it.
because he was telling Carmack, "Yeah, I was with this lady, and she kind of bit me, and I ain't been feeling so good." I'm like, "Oh, so that's how it's gonna end."
And that's how it ended.
But that's because sometimes you get burned out, right? So that was understandable why he left the business for
Yeah,
a while.
because he died.
Yep. So if he does return,
From the dead?
yep. I mean, he is a vampire.
Okay, all right.
I mean, get bit on the neck, that pretty much tells you what's going to happen. No way can he come back and be like, I'm fine.
I'm good.
He's got to be like,
Big bite mark.
I'm dead. But that's the beauty of wrestling. Even that can happen, and you come back from the dead.
Yeah, anything can happen in wrestling. You're
I mean,
100%
think about it. We had a undead Western mortician, also a dark wizard, as he is. We've also had a man that likes arson, like Kane. We've also had a guy that's got a flock and says, "What about me?" Quoth the Raven nevermore.
We've had superheroes in there.
Yes. We've had R-Truth who hot tagged inside a War Rumble.
Went
Because
into the wrong Royal Rumble.
he's also had a ladder match during the War Rumble as well. And everyone's got like, "Truth, this ain't a ladder match. You're not involved in this." But
Or he challenged Heyman
yes,
in the Rumble.
and that also broke Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar was not expecting that.
Nope.
You actually see Brock Lesnar break character because he starts laughing for real. That's just how good R-Truth
R-Truth's
is.
one of the best, and he is underrated, but he
That's
does the
right.
character so well. And he's been around forever.
Oh, man.
Yes.
I remember K Quick.
Hey, quick.
Yep. K Quick.
Yeah, hanging out in the locker room with the Road Dogg.
I remember him when he was the first black NWA champion.
Yep.
And I also remember when he was
Killers.
smoking a cigarette. Takes it from a fan and lights one up on TV. And I'm like, oh, so we're doing that now. Yet people think that Travis Scott is the first one to be doing something like that.
Well, everything old is new again.
That's true. Except in Travis Scott's case, I guess I can give it to him. He was smoking weed instead of a cigarette.
So it was a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't totally steal his gimmick.
But then he had a sage during Roxette Cena's heel turn. I'm like, are you okay, brother? You got Sage out there lighting it up and must have been trying to cleanse himself of the evil that was about to happen because then he saw John Cena kick the man inside the nuts, beat the hell out of him, do all that, bust him open, and then this man slaps him inside the ear.
It was a great ending. It's been compared to the Hogan heel turn. I don't think it was there.
I don't
It
think,
wasn't.
you know what? I think the newer generation and the internet fans think that it's on par.
I think it's this generation's Hogan heel turn.
Yeah.
It is. I'll give you that. It's this generation's heel turn. But
It'll
Then
never,
it's still
nothing will ever be Bash to Beach 96.
no.
Because there was
And-
trash being thrown into that ring.
Well, there was no, the internet was in its infancy, so
Yep.
nobody knew.
Exactly.
They were able to keep it quiet.
Yep.
And that it worked. You can't do that with anything anymore.
Yep, because nowadays you got these fucking live streamers that want to go, oh, he's definitely going to turn heel.
Well, I
I
mean-
have a feeling of it.
And with Hogan, you didn't know until the final second.
Yep, right when he did the leg drop on Macho Man Randy Savage, that's when you're like, this guy ain't my hero. He just turned on us.
He's the third man.
The fact is, though, wrestling has a place for all of this.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a superhero, a supervillain, a mad scientist, a vampire, a undead Western mortician, a zombie Jesus, a wizard, any kind, because it all makes sense. Because wrestling is the only medium where storyline.
Inside this bubble, you can do whatever you
Exactly.
want.
And a lot of people don't understand. That's the magic of wrestling. It is art in its purest form. Because you can make anything matter. You can make anything connect with each other. Like Undertaker and Kane being two different shades of the same coin. That is why professional wrestling is so beautiful. Because a lot of things can happen. R-Truth went from being NWA champion to being what he is now. And he's even more over. Because all he had to do is show his comedic side. Because his timing is impeccable. Nobody is more funnier than Truth.
His Judgment Day stuff was pure.
Oh, yes.
Pure
The fact that he kept on acting like he was still part of them. Even after they whooped his ass.
Walk up behind him and just walk. Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it.
That is the beauty of wrestling. It allowed him to showcase that side of him. People see it as downgraded. I don't. I see it as something that allowed him to continue to prosper. Because he's still growing.
Oh, yeah.
And his comedy is still funnier than ever.
I'm hard-pressed to think of somebody that's done that act better on that.
Same.
Yeah.
That's why I think. That's why I think. Why don't we have that kind of comedy on the independents? We need someone that can do that and keep his career going like that. Because think about it. If we can get someone like that, like an R-Truth, and he's funny as hell, and he keeps on finding new ways to make that work, we got something that's everlasting here in Kentucky, and also here in the independents. So why ain't we found something like that?
Well, they gotta be out there. You're 100%.
Yeah, they gotta be.
They gotta be out there. But it's always been the saying: a billion people in the world in the NFL can only find 32 people that can play quarterback.
Yep.
That's true.
So it's the same thing. You have a billion people in the world. There's got to be somebody else that can do the comedy.
If there is someone that can do that, maybe one day they'll crop up into wrestling, and we'll be like, "Hey, we predicted that."
Somebody's got to find them first. That's all it takes.
But that's the thing about wrestling. People that haven't watched wrestling, they don't understand. But the minute that someone does show them something from wrestling, you know what they do? They're hooked. Just like that.
Well, yeah. Hollywood can offer you a lot of money.
Yeah. Hollywood can.
I mean, he clearly loves wrestling. He came back. He doesn't have to do this.
Yep.
He's worth more money than probably everybody in this town combined.
Yeah, John Cena. John Cena didn't have to come back and do something.
But there are people, they love it. It's in their blood.
Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody came by and offered me a bag of cash, I'm probably going to do whatever you want me to do.
That's right. We're going to kick Cody Rhodes side nuts too. And then beat his ass.
And then go make a movie.
That's right. Make a movie in Africa, just like he said.
Whatever you want me to do.
That's right. Because that's the thing. People hate on The Rock being back, but what they don't understand is that he don't have to do what he's doing.
No, not at all.
It's because he loves it.
It is the nature of the world. I mean, you're going to do what's best for you.
Yep. And
sure, The Rock loved wrestling. Did he want to leave? Probably not. But when you're going to make buku's money, less work on your body.
Yeah, right.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
But he's back. He's doing it now. He doesn't have to, like I just said, he doesn't have to be doing this. Like
exactly.
He does it because he loves it. And
that's right. That's passion.
All I can say is enjoy the ride.
That's right. Just like with independent wrestling. Enjoy the ride because there's so many great talents out there. It's so many to name that are tearing it up right now. There are stars like Zodiac there. The man, the myth, the legend, the man with the fire, the man that makes kids cry. He could be a face or he can be a heel. You can choose whatever you want. He also makes gear, which is fire.
He might get the call tomorrow.
That's true. And what about Tegan Rose? She's young. She's hungry. She's just going to keep on getting better.
Love having her while we got her, but
that's right.
It's going to happen. If she sticks with it, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And those are good goals to have. Because if you get into business just thinking, oh, I'm never going to go anywhere, I'm just going to be stuck here, then you're not going to go anywhere. But if you got ambition and you're thinking to yourself, I think I can go to WWE. I think I can go to AEW. They love me. Then you're going to go far because you believe inside your heart of hearts that you are a star in the making. But I have seen guys that have come into the business and their first thoughts are, I'm not going to make it. I'm just here. I ain't winning nothing. If you think like that, then you're not going to go anywhere.
You're right. You're not going to go anywhere. Absolutely.
That was Undertaker's first 6 years in the business.
Yep. Because,
don't get me wrong, some people get in this not with that aspiration.
yeah.
They just like wrestling. They don't
Yep.
want to go all over.
And that's
the world.
okay.
That's perfectly fine, yeah.
And then there's the ones that will already have inside their head that they're not going to make it. Because they see that they're losing, and for some reason they think losing means that they're losers.
Stone Cold Steve Austin never beat Bret Hart.
Exactly.
Who came out on top of that feud?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to win to win.
That's
You
right.
just have to do the best job.
Because that is something that sets you apart. You don't have to win all the time. You can lose every match. You're still going to be coming out on top because the fans love you.
Dominic Mysterio could go out and get beat up every single night and will not lose an ounce of
That's someone that changed fan perception because think about this. In 2020, everybody hated his guts. They hated that baby face.
Self-included.
He was a boring face.
It's boring.
But he turned you around, didn't he?
Oh, yeah,
When he
I
turned
love his
heel.
stuff now.
My favorite thing was when he took out his dad, but first, whenever he low blowed Edge, like out of blue, just low blows him, and then shoves his dad down.
Luke, you're just jealous of his mustache.
Yeah, Luke. You're just jealous that Dom's got Liv Morgan and a hell of a mustache. Dirty Dom.
And he had Rhea Ripley.
Oh, man. Oh, and he's got a hot fiance. And he had Tiffany Stratton wanting to cash in on him.
I mean, Dominic, man, the guy's killing it in every
He-
aspect of life.
He has.
He doesn't even have to wrestle.
That's
He
right.
just has to show up.
He's basically proved to us that anybody, if they want it and they love it, they can turn fan perception around.
Oh, yeah.
All you got to do is put your all into the character. That's what he's done. When he turned heel, he put his all on to be a Ripley's bitch.
Y'all hate me anyways. Let's do this.
That's
He
right.
did it.
Luke said, what did you say?
All right, hold on. Say it a little slower, a little louder. You are only jealous of his mustache.
Sounds like it.
Did you get it that time?
Did you get that time, Luke? Because, think about it. Dominic Mysterio is proof that any wrestler that gets to this business, if they feel like they can't change the fans' perceptions, they're wrong. Take a look at him.
Yeah.
He was hated. He had nuclear heat.
Oh, hey, yeah.
And then 2022 comes around, and he low blows Edge, pushes his daddy down. And this man and Rey Mysterio crafted one of the best WrestleMania storylines going into WrestleMania. When they had these videos on WWE where Dom and Rhea Ripley were interrupting and ruining
loved
Rey's
the
day.
skits. I loved it.
Yes.
Real quick, I just want to apologize to Luke. I'm just having fun over here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, man. No hate, all love.
But those skits were so great that it was building to Rey finally
Finally
taking them out.
Yeah, which had to happen.
I love that no matter what, he would not attack Dom. Dom would just get up beside his babies, talking shit and pushing them around and shutting them down. Finally, all it takes is Ray turn around while Dom's running his mouth at his sister. And he's putting his hands on his mom. And then Ray just comes down that ramp, comes around that ring, and wham! Knocks him down and tells him, don't you ever put your hands on your mother. You want to fight me? Then I accept.
Well,
and-
if you remember WrestleMania 39 when he threw the drink in his sister's face,
Yeah.
that wasn't planned.
No.
He saw it in the moment and he took it.
That's great heel
She
work.
was hot. She was so
Yep. That was great heel work, too, because it shows that Dominic Mysterio caught on quick.
Yeah, and he did. He really, I mean, he should. He's been around it his whole life.
Yep.
But yeah, he, like you said,
He learned from
one of
the
the
best.
most hated people in wrestling when he wasn't supposed to be, and he made that his strength.
And now he's
killing it.
overtaking MJF as the best heel inside the business right now, because remember, MJF was getting good heat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But MJF kind of spiraled down. Once he became babyface and was holding the title, now he's come back. It feels like he's just rehashing the same old past stuff. He's not trying to evolve.
It almost seems like AEW had something and didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Which is the story of their life. Because they have had a lot of things, and they just didn't know how to do anything with it.
You mentioned earlier the first 2 years was great, and then it just fizzled out.
Yep.
And what you got to understand is the first 2 years, you've probably, because you've been thinking about doing this your whole life. If you're booking wrestling, it's something you've wanted to do for a long time. So your first 2 years is going to be your best stuff, because that's the stuff you've already written in your head. You've gone over it. You're like, if I've got a promotion, this is what I'm doing. So your first 2 years is pretty much mapped out, give or take.
And the fans were excited for something new.
And that definitely helped. WWE had grown stale. Vince was driving in the ground. There's got to be an alternative. Now finally there is. But then, he couldn't capitalize on it. When that 2 years, he should have been writing 2 more years. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know the man. I can't talk for him. But like I said, it's unwatchable for me.
It honestly feels like when Cody Rhodes left in late 2021 and was on his way to WWE, that's when they lost who they were. Because Cody Rhodes, he was keeping the inmates from trying to come up with dumb ideals.
He was the only adult in the room. He got tired of being the only adult, which I get that.
And people were blaming CM Punk, but it wasn't CM Punk. It was Hangman and the Elite that were causing the problems. Because, think about it. CM Punk tried to stay quiet until that press conference. And then he gets asked about Colt Cabana when that shouldn't have been a question asked.
Right.
And yet it was thrown at him. Finally, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm tired of this. I've tried to stay the bigger man. Now I'm going to unleash how I really feel. And that's why when he's pointing, it feels like he's also addressing Tony Khan when he says, I'm old, I'm hurt, and I'm working with fucking children. Because, like he said on that Ariel interview, he said, Tony Khan doesn't want to be a boss. He wants to be everyone's friend. And that's the truth.
Wrestlers will never respect you if you're afraid of them or if you want to be their friend.
Exactly.
That is the 2 things you can't do.
No.
Exactly.
And that's any walk of life. If you run a pizza shop, if you're afraid of your employees or if you want to be their buddy, they're not going to respect you and they're not going to listen to you.
That's right.
I've been in management since I was 17 years old in one capacity or another, and that has always rang true.
Exactly.
Any phase of life.
Exactly. You know, Luke, you're right. Marty Clay could whoop Dom. He is the man. He is a star. He was recently in Vietnam.
We are all Marty Clay fans around
That's
here.
right.
Anybody should know. Anybody who tunes in regularly knows. Everybody here is a huge Marty Clay fan.
I'm just gonna comment on this. Luke hates Dom.
Yeah.
Dom's doing his job.
That's true.
Yep.
You're right.
You're supposed
He
to
is.
hate Dom.
And that's the beauty of Dom's heel work.
And he says they should set up a match, Rey Mysterio mask versus Dom's mustache.
Be careful what you ask for, because Rey Mysterio might lose that. Well, you know what's funny is that we've always seen Rey Mysterio lose that match before.
Yeah.
But WWE
Never
was
should have
smart.
happened.
Just go back far enough.
WWE was smart, though, because unlike WCW, they knew what they had. They saw the mask. They said, Ray, we're going to bring you in, but we want the masked one. We don't want unmasked Ray. We want the mask. Because they saw the marketing. Whereas Eric Bischoff was like, Ray, I don't think that the mask is working, so we're going to book you inside the mask versus hair mask. And then we're going to have you lose the mask.
We can make some good money by having.
And what's funny is that Eddie Guerrero, before that, remember, at the Halloween Havoc, 1997, he's beating the hell out of Ray. He's got the mask halfway ripped on. He wasn't going to tear the mask off. They want him to tear the mask off. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'll go as far as ripping the eye hole just a little bit, but I'm not going to take the man's mask off. And then 1998, they're like, finally, we're going to take that mask off of you.
Well, was the Eddie Guerrero Rey Mysterio match, was that the one where he took the one mask off and he had the other mask on that he slipped right over it, or was that another match?
I think that was a different
That was
one.
another match.
Okay.
And
Ray and Eddie was great. I remember Halloween Havoc 97.
That was a great match.
An amazing match.
That was a match that told you why they were the best in the business.
Oh, yeah.
And when Ray lost his mask, he lost his identity because then he kind of lost his way.
It did. I mean, it got that moment, but after that, now what do you do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Eric Bischoff proved that he wasn't a businessman because he did not see no value inside the mask. But when Brave Mysterio came to WWE, they saw the value inside the mask. The fans loved the mask. Rey Mysterio comes out, he puts on a mask to a kid. That kid's whole night was made. That's beautiful.
I mean, Penta right now, same thing.
Yep.
Penta, when Penta came in, I was happy because Penta's one of those guys that deserved more in AEW. But they didn't see no value in him.
There's a lot of talent in AEW, but
Yeah.
you can have. I mean, you can have talent, but you have to know what to do with it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not trying to talk bad about guys like the Young Bucks or
Yep.
Kenny Omega. I'm not knocking their talent. They're talented wrestlers.
Yep.
But
Very talented wrestlers.
it's almost like Tony spinning a wheel. Okay, wrestler A versus wrestler B. Okay, go.
There's no structure to the card. None.
Yeah.
The women's division outside of Tony Storm is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop talking. I hate to talk bad about things.
Well, no,
Hey, I love.
We only say it because deep down we truly want Tony
And
to
also-
do better. We want AEW to do better.
Any
because they
critique-
can.
Any
They just
critique
don't.
should not be treated like we're bad mouthing them. It's to help them understand what's going wrong.
You know, nobody listening, nobody running anything in AEW is probably not going to hear our words.
That's true. And also,
Hey,
they,
we
you
keep
never
on
know.
saying their name enough. You know, it might
Also gotta
it
think-
might trigger the algorithm.
You never know.
got to think, though, none of them listen to criticism. Because I've seen them cry about just regular criticism. Something that should have helped them be like, okay, we're doing this wrong. Let's pivot and try to do something right.
That's very true too. I truly believe it. I've never been the biggest CM Punk fan.
Yeah.
I've always had a lot of respect for him. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
He's never been my guy.
Yeah.
Same.
But I think he truly wanted to come in and help that company. I
He did.
really believe that.
I mean, look at Collision. It was the hottest thing going, not Dynamite. Collision was doing so good when CM Punk was the guy that was running that show. And then when he was gone and they fired him, it became just another Dynamite.
Well, he was their biggest star.
Yeah, that's true
Easily,
too.
and that's what rubbed everybody the wrong way.
And that was their fault because they wasn't trying to build someone that was on that level or build stars that could be there when CM Punk's not.
CM Punk and Kenny Omega could have drawn money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Kenny Omega said this himself. Even CM Punk said that he would have been willing to do a match with the Young Bucks and them. But it was the Young Bucks and that Hangman Page that didn't want to do a match with him.
Wouldn't do it. That's right.
So Kenny Omega, he's like, all right, fine.
Why would you not want to work with the biggest face in the company?
Plus, it would have made them more money.
Right. It would have made it.
That was money on the table that should have been had. But they were like, we're not working with him. All because they had that instant at All Out. If CM Punk's willing to work with you, even though you made him mad, then you should be doing it. Because that's wrestling.
Do the match, right?
I mean, think about it. In wrestling, you put your ego aside and you go out there and you make money. Look at Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Two biggest examples. Hated each other's guts, but when they got out there inside that ring, they put it aside.
They worked. That's right. The best matches are two people that don't like each other that
Exactly.
much. It's tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what should have happened in that time. Because Kenny Omega was willing to work with CM Punk. CM Punk was willing to work with the Bucks and Heyman Adam Page. But for some reason, those three men were like, we ain't working with him. He's not cool. We don't want to do anything with CM Punk. Whereas Kenny's like, yeah, I'll be fine to wrestle with CM Punk. But the Elite was like, no money for us.
Not one of our guys. Yeah, we don't need money or anything.
Right? But that would have been a big thing to do. I was always saying, why ain't we getting that? Because CM Punk and the Elite versus each other, that would have been money. But because they didn't want to do it, they lost out on huge money.
And that's, like you've said, that was when the company really took a downward spiral. I mean, it wasn't a huge uptick beforehand, but Punk did bring some eyes onto the product.
And then as it went along, it felt like...
Just fell flat.
Yeah, it felt like egos were getting the better of the company instead of a businessman being like, you guys need to get your egos in check and let's make some money. But they ain't got no one like that. Someone even revealed recently they ain't got no production meetings where people can voice their reasons.
I have production meetings.
Exactly. You got to have a production meeting where you guys can come together and put a great show on.
You gotta know what you're doing. That's a lot of why Raw had the problems it had back a few years ago, because they changed the script all the way up until during showtime, from what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but I can believe it.
Yep.
Because some of that stuff didn't make a damn lick of sense.
It did. Especially when Vince McMahon would come in and be like, no, we're rewriting this all the way until the show starts. And then when the show does start, the matches suck, and so does the stories.
I think I heard one time Seth Rollins went out and got a rewrite as he was going out to the ring.
Oh my God. That's a nightmare.
I don't know how true that is, but I can certainly believe it.
I can believe it.
You need a production meeting that's coherent. And I don't think the AEW has that, because per Tony Khan's admission, he's the one that does the booking. He's the one that does the main writing.
He needs help. I mean, everybody needs help. I mean, I'll take help anytime I can get it.
Exactly, because if you have help, the show can run smoother.
I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything.
Exactly.
Vince McMahon, you can talk bad about him all you want. He knew that he needed help, and he went and found the best people he could find.
Yep.
And he was successful for
forever. And that's something that AEW needs. Yeah. They need to learn how to take criticism.
They need structure. They need somebody that's going to be like, no, this is stupid. We're not doing it.
Yep. Because imagine this, they got a ton of veterans, right?
They got a ton of people.
Why ain't the veterans...
They need to trim the roster, too.
Yep. But also the veterans need to step up and be like, that's stupid. You need to do this. You need to do that. And not the, oh, yeah, your idea's cool, bro. We'll do that. Because that's not a good veteran.
Oh, no, not at all. If you remember, 99 through 2001, when WCW was just really in the toilet. Like, it was dead on arrival. And they had, I think they said over 300 people on their roster, just their talent roster. You don't need that many people. No. I don't care how many shows. I don't care if you're running 7 nights a week. You don't need that many people.
You don't.
You can't possibly use them all.
And you need someone that's going to tell you when your ideal is stupid.
Yes, 100%.
Because
AEW has none of that.
Yeah, they don't. No. And I hate to talk bad about them, because when we first started, we loved them. Tony Khan, I love you. Send me some money.
Hire me.
I'll give you some snow.
Hey, hire us to be your booker.
Yeah, because at least if we're booking, we could tell someone your idea sucks, like John Moxley. I mean, think about it. The story they've got going on right now has completely and utterly turned fans off.
I mean, you were paying Miro. You didn't even know he left the country. Pay me.
Exactly. So why don't they send us some money? Let us book them. I mean, think about it. If they had us, we could tell people that ideal sucks, that their ideal sucks to their face. Tell them, all right, if you can bring me something that I can at least consider comprehensible, then I'll let you run it.
Well, I've got a great idea. If I had your money, I could get off the ground no problem.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Give me a call. We can work on it together.
Because PWA is what we need in independence. We need a pro wrestling alliance. We need all these independents to prosper, because when it's prospering, wrestling grows.
When one's winning, everybody's winning.
That's right.
I mean, wrestling has always been a very, for lack of a better term, a backstabbing industry.
Yes.
And I hate that, and I don't adhere to that principle. I'd love to see that end.
Yeah,
I think probably.
I mean, it's getting better. It is. Like I said, I've had a lot of luck working with a lot of guys that run a lot of good companies. Yeah. I've gotten talent from NWF. I've gotten talent from APW. I've gotten talent from Battle on the Border, Grindhouse.
Great places.
Supreme is the one we're mainly working with now. They send me all kinds of great talent, and I love doing it.
That's like AMW, UCW, and TCW working together.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of people are seeing WWE and TNA work together.
Yep.
And
you never thought that was possible.
Never
back
know
then.
what happened. I mean, now granted, WWE's had they did the thing with ECW before,
Yeah.
and they did the thing with Smoky Mountain Wrestling
Yep.
before, so it's not exactly uncharted territory.
Right.
But at the same time, even though they were doing it, they didn't exactly publicize it.
Yeah. And back then, Vince was giving Paul Heyman money.
Oh, yeah, from what I understand, feeding him all kinds of cash just to keep ECW alive because he knew that ECW could hurt WCW in the long run.
Yep.
Which is smart.
Yeah. But then they both fizzled out at the same time.
Same exact, a month apart from one another.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Man.
Yeah, February of 2001, ECW files bankruptcy. March of 2001, WCW sells WWE.
Yep.
What a crazy world we live
And Vince paid more for sex than he did WCW.
I'm not going into that.
But that
Vince
Kinda
has,
sums it up.
Vince has lawyers that can sue me all until I die.
Yeah, right.
hey, he probably should have been suing Sean a lot because Sean likes to say that all the time.
Well, he's not, I mean, I'm not saying anybody's wrong.
But at the same time,
Just not trying to catch a court case.
at the same time, TNA and WWE working together is great because we just got Moose versus Oba Femi. Nobody knew that was going to happen.
Right.
Nobody thought that was possible because we've all been wanting to see Moose versus Oba, and they delivered.
Yeah.
Even though the match was long, they delivered a fast action big man match. Something that Big E would have been saying, big meaty men slapping meat. Because that's his thing.
Yeah.
And that was a great thing.
That's what I always liked too. I always liked the big guys going
Oh, yeah.
at it.
Yes.
Button heads, two big bulls. That's what drew me to wrestling.
That's what we need more of because nowadays you only get a handful of 6-footers.
It's not easy. I mean, they don't grow on trees.
That's true. And you also got to find ones that are willing to learn.
Right.
Because there are some that will come in and be like, I'm 6 foot. I'm bigger than these guys. Well, I need to learn.
Yeah, I can do what I want. Right.
You got to find ones that be like, all right, I want you to teach me how I can be a professional wrestler. But instead, you get the ones that are like, damn, you guys are 5 foot. I could take them. Oh, we know everything. Don't you get that out of here. I don't need that advice.
You can't teach size, but you got to
That's
teach
true.
them everything else.
That's
So,
true. Look at Ethan Hire. Ethan Hire is 5'1", and he's never let that bother him.
We've had Ethan in before.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
He was at our November show, I believe.
Excellent talent.
Good talent to
Yeah,
have.
absolutely is.
And PWA is getting all these great talents, and that's good because it also means that it's helping you, and it's helping them grow their brand, getting more eyes onto them, which is what wrestling always needs. Promotions need to stop with the bullshit where they think that the other guy's costing them, because how the hell are you costing them when y'all both are having the same talent, and that talent is getting more noticed by more eyes? I mean, think about it. We're not in the 1990s. We're not in the 80s, 60s, and 70s where promoters stab each other and sit back and try to act like the other promotion is bad for them.
Exactly. Yeah, the territory days are well gone.
Yeah.
And plus, in 2025, promotions should be helping each other because when all promotions are thriving, every promotion will thrive. And professional wrestling itself would thrive. Because if you're just being a promotion that's stuck inside of ways where you're like, that company's fucking me over, I don't want them running here, you're basically saying, I don't want wrestling to grow. I want it to stay inside this small bubble where nobody knows our talent. You want your talent to be seen. You want your company to be seen. And in what better way than that talent going to that place, and not only are they having the championship of that company that they work for there, but y'all can come to agreement where both titles can be defended across each show. And that helps more people be like, I want to come back to this promotion right here and check out what these guys do.
We have defended, defended belts from other companies on our shows.
And that's great.
We've had our belt defended on other companies' shows.
I love when that happens. I love when you guys do that.
Me too.
It's a nice little treat for the fans. It gets
Exactly.
you over. It makes them happy. It gets everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody gets what they want out of it.
Exactly.
New South, before they went out of business, they were doing Ring of Honor. They had Booker T come out and had his champion come out and take New South's belt and take it back to Texas with them. And
There you go.
That's right.
I bet the fans loved it.
oh yeah, it was
Exactly.
awesome.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, not to keep harping on AEW, but that could have been.
Or no, I'm sorry, I
could have
misspoke. Not Ring of Honor, Reality of Wrestling.
Reality of Wrestling,
my
okay.
bad.
But yeah, Ring of Honor could have been
Could have been
huge.
an AEW Ring of Honor thing. Could have been big. No, it's like, what does he do with it? Nothing.
yeah,
It's basically like
The
no
guys
one
that he
sees.
can't write onto AEW TV, he sends down to Ring of Honor. Which even then, it wouldn't be a big deal. You could use it as a farm system if that's what you wanted to do with it.
Exactly.
Although the WWE ID program, I think, is kind of like drying up his only source of getting new talent, which is smart on their end.
Yep. Because
I'm now 20 years. It's good for the talent. It's good for WWE.
yes.
It's not great for any other wrestling promotion, but we'll see where it goes.
yep.
In 20 years,
But the WID thing, it means that they're not signed to a contract. It means that they can still work the independents.
until they decide they want 'em.
Yep.
Yep.
That's true.
Oh, wait a minute. Tony Khan's calling, offering you $1 million. Well, guess what? You just got called up.
Yep. But Tony Khan would then be like, I want you because you look good. But here's the thing. I've already got something like you. Prime example, Camille. Signed her. But where's she at? You know why? They can bang. Especially because if I had a superstar that has been doing the movie and she was the main villain, I would have had her doing what they had the actress as a co-star. That's not even part of Mildred Burke or the villain's story being there. I would have had Camille be there and tell us everything. But because they got Megan Bain, who basically has a gimmick that's just like Camille's, they don't do anything with Camille. So she's sitting at home, wasn't brought in or anything, and Megan Bain's basically fulfilling her role.
Yeah, which don't get me wrong, Megan Bain's great.
Yeah, she is.
I've seen Megan Bain in OVW. She was
Yep.
awesome there. She's awesome now. I got nothing
Yep.
against got nothing but praise for Megan Bain.
Yep.
No, it's not the wrestler.
In 6 months, you think you're going to see Megan Bain anywhere?
Oh, man. You're right. Because think about
She'll
it.
be under contract.
Yeah.
Yep. And
She
then
won't be good.
AEW be like, I don't know what to do for her. Send her back to the pile.
Prove me wrong.
We have this theory here at the podcast that Toy Khan has this WWE wrestling ring backstage. He's got these figures, and he likes to liken them to AEW wrestling figures. But if he ain't got your figure and it don't fit his story, he's like, don't need you. This guy's going over. And then he loses that figure, and he never brings him back on TV. He's like, I ain't got your figure, dude. I can't book you. I can't have it. You gotta stay home. Sorry. But if he does have your figure, he's like, I'm gonna book you to the
You
moon.
get to win tonight. Okay.
Look, I mean, think about it. He could have had so much better if he would have did what everyone's been saying. Hire Scott D'Amore to be the creative. Because he did a hell of a job at TNA.
He's got Jake Roberts and does nothing with them.
Oh, you're right.
I was listening to Jake's podcast, and sitting there talking, and the guy asked him, Tony asked you if any of your ideas. Listen, nope. Doesn't want to pick my brain or nothing.
And that's the problem.
Collect your paycheck. I mean,
Yeah. I prefer when wrestlers want to pick the brains. Because that's how you learn.
I mean, when a wrestler can write for himself or herself, because no one knows who they are better than them.
Right.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't always work out. Jake, it works out. I've always heard Jake can't write for anybody who isn't Jake. I don't know how true that is, obviously,
Yeah.
but I have heard that. But yeah, I think a wrestler, I would always want input into somebody's character.
That's right.
Most of the time, I'll ask, okay, this is what I've got worked out. Do you have a better idea?
Yep.
Do you have something you think would work here? And we'll talk.
That's how you do it.
And maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. If it's a better idea than mine, then we're going with it.
But if it sounds like they're come up with such a bad idea that you're like, oh boy, the fans ain't gonna like that.
If it's a
And
bad,
you got to tell them, hey, we can't do this, so here's what we're going to do instead.
that's the tough part. If it's a bad idea, you've got to tell them it's a bad idea.
You got to show tough love though,
making them mad. But exactly.
because they got to understand.
You can't be scared of them. You can't want to be their friend.
Yep,
Right?
you got to let them know.
Time, if you make someone mad, like just intentionally be an ass,
Yeah,
they're not going to care what you say.
Exactly.
So there is a delicate line.
At the end of the
That's
day,
right.
you are the boss. These are your employees.
Yep.
and you
That's
got to
right.
do what you feel is right.
Yep. And if it's like I said, if it's a bad idea, and honestly, I've never had a lot of downright terrible ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I've had a few where, well, I think this is better. I think this is where we'll go. And I've never had any pushback on that either. So maybe I've just always gotten lucky. And now that I'm saying it.
Tony Hawk needs to hire you. That way, he's got someone that will be a boss, and then he just can be back there and do his thing and play his little toys while you're doing things for him.
Do what he needs to. If you're listening and if you're hiring, I'll give you my phone number.
That's right. We have to tell you that he listens
What
to
I'm
us
saying,
because
man, I'm saying we mentioned him enough. The algorithm's gonna kick in.
I'll tell you though, but I swear that he listened to the podcast because back in 2022, we were the ones that were suggesting a mixed gender tag team title. And lo and behold, just a month later, Sammy Guevara and Tay Miller start bringing the mixed gender titles to AEW.
Coincidence? I think not.
Exactly. And you know what? We've actually been on here 2 hours. It didn't feel like it, did it?
No, not at all. Felt like about 20 minutes.
You know why? Because when you're having a good conversation, it feels like it's only been that long. So, folks, who wants to say goodbyes first?
Well, I got to pay the bills first. So these beautiful PWA cups are by Dory Designs, LLC, one of our favorite sponsors. They are available at the Carrollton Training and Recreation Center and at all PWA events. So
Make sure you get yourself one.
That's right. Get yourself one.
Outside of that, it's been an honor, gentlemen, and I will do it anytime you'd like.
Where
Honored to have you as well.
Where can the people find you? What's your socials?
Charles Neil Pierson is a way to get a hold of me directly on Facebook. I'm very responsive on that. PWAforever.com is our website. PWA America is our Facebook page, X tag, and Instagram. Keep on there for all the information. Our next show is April 4th at the Carrollton Training and Recreation Center. June 19th at the Trimble County Fair. It's a Thursday night. I will give you a hint that good things come in small packages.
Heck yeah.
And we are working on something in May. There is nothing confirmed, so I can't give any information on that. But keep on PWAforever.com, and when and if that becomes available, we will certainly drop that information to you.
That's right.
April 4th, Carrollton Training and Recreation Center. Come out. Benjamin Kamara, Ali Albright, Crazy Ed, TJ Fury versus Nick Ultima has already been announced. Plenty of more good matches are going to be there. I hope to see you there.
All right.
That's right. Yo.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I believe the more promotions out there, the better. You know, a promotion can only book so many wrestlers at a time. You know, the more out there, the more bookings these guys can get. So
That's right.
thank you. And yeah, just thank you for doing what you're doing. And good luck with all your future shows. And hopefully catch one soon.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Love to have you guys there.
Heck yeah. We definitely will look forward to come to one of those, because here at the Nice Game Podcast, we love to give a platform to all promotions. We've had different variety of promotions into the studio. And I want to have you in here as soon as Dusty James mentioned that PWA was here in Kentucky. And I said, that's cool. I want to get one of them in here. And you were the man that I want to get in here because you had the history. And I appreciate you for telling the history of the PWA to everyone and letting the fans know exactly how Pro Wrestling Alliance got started. And I want to say I appreciate everything you're doing. It's always good when a promotion is helping the talents grow, because there's not a lot of promotions that think about that. And that's something that all promotions here in Kentucky should think about, and Indiana. Because if all talents prosper, wrestling prospers. And with that, guys, thank you to everyone that's been tuning in. Thank you to everyone that's been chiming into comments like you, Luke. And guys, if you're not having fun,
you ain't getting none.
Damn Skippy. Yeet, yeet.
Nice guy. And